There is no limit to what women can accomplish. Michelle Obama made this statement in one of her speeches. Good morning and welcome to this episode of Women Empowerment Program being organized and sponsored by the Rule of Law and Empowerment Initiative, also known as Partners West Africa Nigeria, P1. My name is Nkem Okereke, your host for the show, with my co-host Ijoma Igwe. About 100 years ago, women were expected to be wives and mothers, tasked with raising good, moral citizens, keeping comfortable homes. Most women didn't have careers, with the exception of those that are teachers, nurses, seamstresses, maids, and others who performed jobs that were considered appropriately just for women. Though with changing times, it gradually began to change, and women started taking up more roles and responsibilities. Then, fast forward to last year, COVID-19 struck. The lockdown collapsed the demarcation of professional spaces and domestic life of women. And this also included homeschooling for the children. Women featured prominently at the front lines as healthcare workers. Many women were nurses, caregivers, innovators, community organizers, and as some of the most exemplary and effective national leaders in combating this pandemic. Reports showed that last year, that majority of the countries that have been more successful in stemming the tide of the COVID-19 pandemic and responding to its health and broader socioeconomic impacts are headed by women. For instance, heads of government in Denmark, Ethiopia, Finland, Germany, Iceland, New Zealand, and Slovakia. Then this is an eye-opener that a woman can be more, which is the topic for discussion for today. We will go on a short break and then come back with our guest for this interesting topic. Please stay tuned.
Discussing our topic, which is Women Can Be More. Our guest for today is Ms. Semiha Abdulmelik. She's currently a policy specialist with UN Women Nigeria. She has close to 10 years experience in country-specific governance, humanitarian, gender and conflict programming and policy analysis, with field experience in Sudan and South Sudan, as well as on Pan-African policy issues and regional institutions. She has worked for local and international NGOs as well as the UN and AU Commission. She also serves as a member of the Tana Forum Technical Committee. Please welcome with us this morning our guest, Ms. Semiha Abdulmelik. Good morning, Ms. Semiha, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, nice to have you.
You're welcome. So, Ms. Semiha, I will ask you our first question for today. When you hear women can be more, what comes into your mind?
Yeah.
What's your thought about it?
Yeah, I think when we say women can be more, it's that they can be more than what society, culture, environment has told them from especially a very young age what they can be. I think also, and in your introduction, you spoke about the many different roles women can have. So I think it's about saying, as women, and especially as girls, because we build our aspirations when we're quite young, what are we aspiring to be? And can we be more than what the people around us, our school systems, our society is telling us we can be? So I think for me, to be more is not to say that women are not already enough, but it's to say that we can aspire and dream as large as we want to. But I think also when I hear that, it makes me think women are already enough in who they are and the skills and capacities they have, but they need an environment that nurtures all of that to be able to allow them to fulfill their potential, whatever that could be. And for some people, it's in very traditional or roles that we've already seen women in other places. Women are being trailblazers, and we should be able to embrace all of that and give women and girls, especially because as I said, you're building this as you grow up, the choice to be whatever it is they would like to be. So that's what I think about when I think of women can be more.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Yes, it's true, a woman can actually be more than what the society tells a woman to be. But then again, sometimes women find it hard to be more, especially when they feel a particular profession is for a man. Yeah, so is it possible for a woman to be more and still retain her femininity?
I mean, I think it's a very good question, and I think we see this struggle especially in areas like politics and leadership, because for a very long time those spaces have been dominated not just by men, but certain value systems and ways of being. But I think, and you said it again in your introduction, when we look at some of the countries that have done really well in terms of the COVID response, for example, New Zealand, etc., which is led by a woman, I think women have shown that when they come into leadership, there are things, there's values, leadership qualities that they bring, which allow for better outcomes than we've seen before. But of course, there's also and I think the reality is sometimes when women break into spaces where they usually are not visible, or where there are challenges to their being in that space, sometimes there's a pressure to adopt certain ways of being. So to be a leader, you have to be tough, you have to be aggressive, you have to adopt certain ways of being. But I think we have enough examples, and I think that's why role models and mentors are so important, to show us that to be successful in a particular field, you don't necessarily need to adopt ways of being which are not necessarily authentic to who you are, and that there are very special qualities you bring which, as a woman leader, that are also important. So,
Okay, so you're saying a woman doesn't have to change to being tough to be more?
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that there's a need to be authentic and true to who you are as an individual, also embracing all the things that you bring. For example, I think often when women are assertive, they're seen as aggressive, or that's how it's classified. But sometimes it's just being assertive. I think also women can sometimes be judged quite harshly in terms of how they're appearing in spaces.
Sorry for cutting you here. We'll have to go on a break, then come back. Welcome back to the show on Women Can Be More. So, Ms. Semiha, we were discussing something before we went on a short break. We are talking about women and their femininity and they're becoming who they want to be. So, I remember I was asking you, are you saying that a woman doesn't have to show that she is strong or she is tough to become more, like in terms of wanting to be a politician, you don't have to show that. You don't have to show who you are not because you want to.
No, I mean, I think what I was saying is that women should be authentic wherever they go. And that they need to be strong in understanding who they are, what they're bringing to the table, and not feel the pressure of adopting things or ways of being which they don't necessarily intrinsically have. Of course, strength is an important character. It's something that will take you far in many different fields. But I guess my point is, when we speak about retaining your femininity, I think we also just need to talk about being, understand that femininity is not a negative thing. It's not a barrier to be able to stop you advancing in the work that you do. So I think it's also about shifting the culture in terms of understanding that femininity is not something negative. It's not about, it's about perhaps, yes, you know, it's something that adds to the work that you're doing. If you're a politician, perhaps it's about teaching you about compassion as well, and understanding the values you bring. So I think it's not an either or. I don't think you need to abdicate who you are or parts of who you are or how you present because you want to be a leader or you want to be in the scientific field. I think these are all positive things that you bring to whatever space you want to occupy.
Just to add, so it doesn't have to be you wanting to be like a man because you're in quotes, male-dominated, so that you don't have to now say, okay, I need to act like a man. Just remain, be yourself. Be your own. Well, thank you for that. So we'll ask you the question, what roles does relationship play in building a woman to be more?
I mean, I think, you know, relationships and healthy, positive relationships are very important to support women on their journey to be more. And I think it really starts from a very young age. It's the kind of relationships you have around you when you're a young girl, because those relationships will build your self-esteem, they will build your ability to dream and to dream big. They will mentor you, they will provide you with resources and exposure. So I think for me, it's the relationships from a very young age throughout your life that allow you to achieve and be more, because we're not, yes, we're individuals, but we're embedded in community, we're embedded in relationships. And of course, family is a very important set of relationships, and I think parents as well have a very large role to play in ensuring that the girls in the family are able to have all of the opportunities, especially when you have a family with mixed boys and girls, that they're both given equal opportunities. They're both given skills and abilities to dream and think outside the box. And then I think as you grow older as well, it's about, do you have within, especially within your sector, within the space, if you're a politician, if you're in the private sector, do you have mentors and champions that can support you on your journey? So I think it's the relationships across your life from a very young age, family context, community, to when you're a lot older, and it's specific relationships within the area or sector you're working in that are very critical to support you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to ask you, how do you think a woman can effectively manage the different aspects of her life?
I mean, I think this is the million-dollar question and something I feel a lot of women grapple with. But I think it touches on the earlier question about relationships and understanding that, one, I think for a very long time, especially in the last 10 years, as women have moved into the public sphere, whether it's in private sector, politics, etc., they've you know, there's this whole mantra of trying to have it all, achieving on the home front, achieving outside the home, a career, or, you know, work within the community. So I think for me, what's really important is, how do you build relationships that support all of this? So if you have a strong partner, for example, if you're married with kids, that's a relationship that can support you in terms of managing and balancing your home life, you know, your home. And then outside that, if you have colleagues, teams within your workplace that support you as well, that support you, because it's a community effort. None of the things, everything we do is not, we're not islands. We are embedded in a set of relationships and community with so many others. So I think also what's really important, and I think for a lot of women, something that they realize as time goes by, is that in order to be able to do all of these amazing things, both within the house and outside the house, we have to care for ourselves as individuals. So there's, of course, there's a lot of talk about self-care, etc. But I think it's very important that there is an element of, because we're giving so much to our families, to work, etc., that we also learn to fill our own cups to be able to do all of the things that we want to do.
Yeah, talking about this self-care and taking care of ourselves. You know, way back when we were growing up, we saw sleep as being lazy. We saw rest as being lazy. We saw taking care of ourselves as being careless and not taking care of the children. You know, a woman is supposed to look like...
Show you're working. Show that you're working. All of
So I like the self-care part. This, you must fill your cup and have the strength to take care of others and manage other aspects of your life. I mean, women need to really learn how to take care of themselves. It is very, very important for us to know that, okay, we need to be strong so that we can pull others up, so that people that we have under us, like our children and other people that depend on us, can also be strong. Ijoma, do you have other questions to ask her?
Yeah, just one final question, I think. What would be your recommendation for women that wants to be more, but being held back by culture and some tradition and some things? So what would be your advice for them?
I mean, I think, there are always lots of challenges, and of course cultural norms and expectations are a really big part. And I think we all navigate these cultural norms and systems in various ways, whether it's religious or not. I think for me, it's about understanding what you want to achieve in life. And I think that then becomes the driving force to support you as you try and achieve your dreams. But I think it's also about engaging with people who for example, if there are people within your family or your society who disagree with your goals, I think also engaging with them to get them to understand why it is you think you should be able to do what you aspire to do is important. I think engagement is important. I think also a lot of the work, what we're trying to do is requires a bit of fearlessness as well as women. Like, we need to be able to understand that there will be challenges, but having a kind of future orientation is very important. And of course, culture changes over time. And that we should be part of changing culture. And I think the work that we do, by giving an example in terms of what women can do more as, that's part of also shifting culture as well. So I think it's a mixture of trying to be fearless in what you want to achieve, but also engaging with that change of cultural norms, which are pulling women back as well.
So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Nkem and
From
Choma.
what we have from today, a woman can still be more and retain her femininity. We don't have to show off that we are strong, that we don't have to form what we are not just because we want to, or because we are in a male-dominated profession. We can still be able to achieve whatever we want to achieve and still be woman that we are, that we are already. I don't know if you have other things to give our viewers as takeaway for today's discussion.
Yeah, so we can be more if we get support that we need.
Exactly.
And just to make us know, like from what she said, we are going to face challenges trying to be more. We are going to face barriers, but we need to face them fearlessly. Know that these challenges are there, but then we need to overcome them. And we will need all the relationships, all the supports we need from mentors and people you trust that can pull you to become more. So don't just, just be laid back or just think you can be more by not doing anything. Find good relationships that can help build you and, so that we can be more for ourselves.
So thank you very much, Ms.
Thank you for having me.
Semiha Abdulmelik. It's good to have you today on this wonderful discussion. Thank you also our viewers for taking out time to listen to us again today. Please join us again next week Friday for another interesting episode on women empowerment. But before we go, I would like to also remind you that you are free to put in the comment section topics that you would want us to discuss still on women empowerment. So thank you very much, as we expect your comments on the topics, and see you next week. Bye.